Okay, Programming 11, we're back with another video on an advanced technique. And so far, our movement has mostly just been in one direction and we are looping it over and over and over again. But let's take a look at some examples of different kinds of movement now. So in this first video, we're going to look at making um, something kind of bounce around on the screen. Instead of having it, go all the way and then disappear and loop and come back, what if it was to hit the side of the screen and then go back and forth and back and forth? So the deal with this technique is that um, when it hits the edge of the screen, it needs to reverse direction. When it goes the opposite direction, uh, what it needs to change is this sign. We are going, +5. +5 moves us to the right. But if we want to bounce and go back to the left, then we need to change this to become -5. How do we change that sign? Well, basically, we turn this into a variable. We're not going to keep it the same way. We're going to change that into a variable. So I am going to make a variable that simply is called, I guess, Vx is usually what I call it. It sort of stands for the velocity in the x direction. It tells you what direction you're moving. And I am going to replace this with Vx here. And you can see that it doesn't do anything right now because Vx starts off as 0. But let's start Vx off at, let's say 5. So basically we have the same sketch as we had before. So this is a variable. It can change, but it doesn't change right now. So it's going to keep on going until it gets to 900. Hey, guess what we could do? We could, instead of changing x when this gets above 900, we could change Vx to become -5. So right now, when the sketch starts, Vx is 5. So we're constantly adding 5 to x, so it's going to go that way. When it gets to be over 900, then it's going to become -5, and so it'll start moving the other way. Let's see. So it's going to move across. When it hits 900, bam, it's going to come back the other way. And you might say, 900, what's going on? And also it went off the screen there. It didn't come back. So a couple of problems. We'd like to bounce right on the edge of the screen, and we'd like it to come back again. So let's get the edge of the screen working first. So first of all, 900 is just too far. That was great for when we want to go off screen and loop it, but now we'd like to have it bounce on the edge. Ooh, pardon me. Ooh, it's getting late. Ooh, I gotta get some coffee or something and wake myself up. So anyways, we notice that this is 800 wide. So if we made that 800, it'd be a little bit better. We can see it will bounce, but the center will bounce off of the center. See how it like dug into the wall? The center point is what arrived. So we had to subtract off the radius. What's the radius? Well, half of our diameter. So we're going to make this 750. So now it should bounce right on the edge. And we'll see it hit right on the edge. Bam, there it is. Nice. Okay, so now the other problem is, what about the other side? It doesn't bounce off of that. Well, you just need another if statement. Just like we have an if statement here for if it hits the other side of the wall, I'm going to put in an if statement here to say if x is less than 50. That's my radius, right? So if it's less than 50, it's gone, yeah, less than 50. It's good. We're going to say Vx equals +5. So we're going to reverse the direction the other way. So let's see what happens. Looks good, right? Hits that wall, goes back, hits the other wall, goes back. So now we have a kind of a back and forth movement where it's kind of bouncing between two things. You might think to yourself, how do I make it bounce on the top and bottom? It's almost the exact same thing. We just need a Vy, and we write the same kind of code for interacting with the y coordinate instead of the x coordinate. I'll do that real quick just to show you. We can also have a Vy, excuse me, and Vy, I could set it to be 5, sure. And we will not just change the x coordinate, but we will change the y coordinate by Vy. And we're going to have a set of if statements to also control the y coordinate to make it bounce off. So I'm going to say if y is greater than, and then I guess we have between 600 and 0. So if it's, greater than 550, then we'll make it negative to make it go back up. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I need to have a nap. Or maybe just go to bed. We'll set Vy to -5. And if it goes too high on the screen, we'll say if y is less than 50, we'll set it to +5. So now we have a way of bouncing. So this is basically bouncing off the left and right walls. This code here is bouncing off the top and bottom walls. I'll put bottom and top actually. So that's what these two if statements are for. And these ones are going to just move the ellipse. And so you'll find that it's moving now, sort of bouncing all over the place, going up and down and bouncing off of the walls. It's really just doing both of those things at once. I'll turn off the X for a second just so you can see that if we don't move the X, it's just doing up and down bouncing. I guess I should set X to the middle of the screen. So one code is going up and down, the other one's going left and right. If you combine them, we get diagonal movement. So if I turn on both of them, we'll end up getting some diagonal movement. They move in nice 45-degree angles. If you don't like 45, you can mess around with these starting values. So for example, if I make this 1 and Vy5, you'll get a much sharper kind of bouncing going on. So you can think about how you could incorporate some kind of bouncing going on to an animation project and see where we can go from there. So give it a try, see if you can make a project either bounce left and right or up and down, or get it to bounce on all the different walls. And that's an interesting use for if statements and variables. That's different than our endless loop. I bet you could come up with other stuff too if you think about it. Okay, thanks everybody.